Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as Scraps. Today I will be teaching you kind of a unique filter. This filter is so unique, it kind of sounds like an old 1960s vintage tube. And I'll show you how to create this. It's not too complex, but it does give a nice rich warm sound to your drums or to your loops or whatever you have. I'll demonstrate that with a demo example right now. So that's the sound it kind of gives. It's kind of a caved in, campy type of compressed and squashed with a little bit of dirt. So if you work in Ableton or you already know the commands to create a return track. However, you can hold down Control and left click to insert a return track, or you can simply right click. So now that we have a return track, I'm going to drop in my auto filter for the first effect. I'm going to set it to a high pass, and I'm going to set the frequency to 1.77 kilohertz. This is a nice starting point because not only can you get the very details of the mids, but you also get a lot of the highs, and pretty much all the highs too. After this, we start by dropping in a compressor. We set it to OPTO, and we bring the threshold down a bit. We set the attack to 0.03 milliseconds and the release to about 764 milliseconds, 7.6. I'm going to set it to F filter, let's see. I'm not sure what the FF1 stands for, but feed forward 1 will be just fine for this. Then after this, what we want to do is drop in an EQ 8. I'm going to take number 1 over here. I'm going to set it, the Q pretty much all the way, and I'll bring the frequency all the way down, all the way up to 1.77 kilohertz, or 7.6, and drop the gain all the way down, because what we want to do is, as this curves off, we want a sharper angle to completely eliminate all the rest of it. I'm going to grab number 2 and switch it to a high pass filter and just bring off some of the more of the other lower frequencies off. I want to take number 4 and just compress the Q pretty much all the way, or actually take that back down. What we want to do is we want to shape it so that way it's a nice curve. So it curves off very nicely. I want to turn on my number 5, and I'm going to turn on a shelf, a high pass shelf, and just bring the rise of the highs up a bit. And I'm also going to right click the top and choose high quality because we are using this on pretty much everything. After this, I'm going to set my filter, my F filter, on pre because we won't hear anything on post. We're supposed to be getting more of the dynamics and the sound that we lost when we create a mix. After this, we're going to choose a dynamic tube, and I'll show you the importance of how big the dynamic tube is. If you would give me a few seconds to build in a drum track, followed by some MIDI notes inside that drum track, so that way when we play back our filter to see if it's doing anything, it will affect the drums. as you can tell, we're just getting the noise from the high. It's not very rich and very warm. Dynamic tube will actually shapen this up a bit. So I'm going to turn up the drive to 4 decibels or 4.3. I'm going to turn the tone all the way up. I'll bring the attack to 0.03 milliseconds or 1 millisecond. I'm going to bring the release down 7.63 milliseconds. And I'm going to turn the envelope all the way up. Or actually around, yeah, all the way up. Now if we have a listen with and without, you'll start to notice. It gives a little bit of distortion, so let's set this to around like 157. It's less prompt and more distorted, and that's exactly what we want. Now all we have to do is basically just saturate some of the top frequencies with a basic input of saturator. I'm going to set my drive to 4 and turn on soft clip, and there you guys have it, your very own high to mid vintage 1960s tube saturator compressor. And I'll check you guys out later for another tutorial. Cheers.